This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. A talking kitchen teaches students how to cook French and speak French. Researchers at the Newcastle University in Britain have developed the French Digital Kitchen. Professors Paul Seedhouse and Patrick Oliver led the project. Professor Seedhouse says it works like a satellite navigation system in a car. The sat-nav speaks to you, and it tells you, for example, to turn left. And if you turn left, then it continues with the program. If, for example, you turn right, then it's a mistake. So it loops back and gives you further instructions. The kitchen equipment and tools use motion sensor technology, similar to the Nintendo Wii game system. The sensors help a computer guide the students through instructions in French. The system can tell whether you've done what you were asked to do or not. So let's say, for example, the system tells you to take some butter and cut it with a knife. The sensor in the knife not only knows that the knife is moving, but it also knows what motion the knife is making. Students can ask the computer to repeat the instructions or translate them into English. There are vocabulary lessons before and after the cooking. Professor Seedhouse became interested in the idea after he visited a talking kitchen designed for a different purpose. It was actually for communicating with people who suffer from dementia. It can tell them, for example, that they've left the oven on. He says the French Digital Kitchen turns the process of learning language into a real-life experience. But the idea, known as task-based language learning, required a few changes as the researchers were designing the system. For example, if they had a sink full of water, as soon as people finished cooking with an instrument, they would throw it into the water. And for us, that's deadly, because the digital sensors were immediately ruined. The system could be available for sale by the end of 2012. Adding the technology to a new kitchen could add an estimated 10 to 20% to the building costs. The system could also be added to an existing kitchen. The researchers are also developing portable versions, and the European Union has given them money to begin programs in 6 other languages, including English, Italian, and Spanish. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. You can find links to videos about the Talking Kitchen at voaspecialenglish.com. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. The United States has announced a plan to fight the growing threat from cyber spies and internet attackers known as hackers. United States Attorney General Eric Holder says the Justice Department is fighting back aggressively. He says the department is working with states and federal agencies to bring to justice those involved in online theft and espionage. Mr. Holder called for increased cooperation with private businesses. He also noted the need to protect trade secrets. The Attorney General said a single trade secret can be worth millions of dollars. Stolen trade secrets, he said, hurt businesses, jobs, and economic competitiveness. The new policy calls for fines and trade action against individuals and countries that target U.S. trade secrets. The plan was announced the day after the American information security company Mandiant published its investigation of cyber attacks. It reported that more than 140 companies have been attacked since 2006. The targets include some of the biggest companies in the United States, such as Apple, Facebook, Lockheed Martin, and Coca-Cola. Mandiant says hacking groups in China carry out most of the attacks. They include groups known as Comment Crew and Shanghai Group. Mandiant also identified something called Advanced Persistent Threat 1, or APT-1. It says APT-1 is a part of the Chinese military, the People's Liberation Army. Mandiant says the Chinese government also wants to hack into important parts of America's infrastructure. China's foreign ministry denies Mandiant's accusations. It calls the report irresponsible. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Nurses spend their lives helping other people recover from injuries and illnesses. Yet nurses suffer a surprising number of injuries and illnesses themselves because of their work. In fact, the United States Department of Labor says nursing is the second leading profession for on-the-job injuries. It ranks higher than construction work and law enforcement. Only freight and stock movers report higher injury rates. Nurses and other healthcare workers do a lot of heavy lifting on the job. Lifting and moving patients improperly leads to sprains, strains, and muscle tears, leading causes of injuries to nurses. Gretchen Gregory is an instructor at the Sinclair School of Nursing on the Columbia campus of the University of Missouri. She says back problems are the greatest threat that nurses face when they lift or move patients. You're talking about people that have handicaps or limited mobility that need much assistance. And we have untrained people to do that assisting, and that puts them at risk for hurting their backs. Ms. Gregory leads a new training room where nurses can learn to keep themselves and their patients safe. She says most nurses lack training in how to lift patients. That's not something that we teach in school, but that's when falls happen, and that's when nurses get hurt. The Safe Practices Room has special training equipment, including a life-size mannequin doll. This patient can be filled with water and made to weigh as much as 159 kilograms. Ms. Gregory says most American hospitals have lifting equipment to help nurses move patients. But she says the equipment is often pushed back in a corner somewhere, unused and forgotten. She says the Safe Practices Room teaches the importance of using the tools and skills available. The training room also seeks to improve communication skills and other practices in a setting designed to copy a busy hospital or clinic. As Gretchen Gregory puts it, if we provide an environment where everything's nice and quiet, and they can give their medications or they can communicate to a physician when there's nothing going on, that's not really a real-life setting. They have to be able to do it with some distraction. An unidentified donor gave $300,000 to build the new room. The University of Missouri describes it as one of the first of its kind at a nursing school in the United States. You can find pictures of it at voaspecialenglish.com. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
This is the VOA Special English Development Report. A medical aid program in Kenya offers hope to women and girls suffering from a condition known as fistula. About 2 million women and girls worldwide have the condition. There are about 1,000 new cases of fistula each year in Kenya, and as many as 100,000 worldwide. Most cases of fistula are in Africa and Asia. In July, the African Medical and Research Foundation held a medical camp in Kenya to provide free operations to those with the condition. A fistula is a hole that develops between two organs. Obstetric fistulas are caused by obstructed childbirth. When a baby's head is stuck in the birth canal for an extended period of time, it cuts off the blood supply to the woman's surrounding organs. This causes the tissues to die. The woman is left with a hole between her vagina and her bladder or rectum. This causes her to continuously leak urine or feces. It may also prevent her from having other children or having sexual relations. If left untreated, fistula can cause other health problems. These include skin infections, kidney disorders, and even death. Many women suffer intense shame and social rejection because of their condition. Rose Opio developed fistula during childbirth 23 years ago. She said, "I had many problems. I could not go to my farm or conduct my business. There was nothing I could do. When you have this kind of a problem, you can only take care of your body. There is nothing else you can do. People hated me." Many fistula sufferers are rejected and abandoned by their family and friends. Mrs. Opio's husband left her and married another woman. Mrs. Opio was among the women who visited the free medical camp in Kenya to have operations to correct their condition. The World Health Organization says the simple operation can cure up to 90% of fistulas. The organization also says fistula can largely be prevented. It advises girls to delay their first pregnancy until their bodies have fully developed. This reduces the risk of long and obstructed childbirth. The organization also calls for an increase in quality health care and an end to harmful traditional practices like female genital cutting. And that's the VOA Special English Development Report. Transcripts, MP3s, and podcasts of our reports are at voaspecialenglish.com.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. More than 280 million people around the world have vision problems or are blind. The World Health Organization says 9 out of 10 of them live in developing countries, and 80% of the problems can be prevented or cured. Uncorrected cases of nearsightedness, farsightedness, and astigmatism are the leading cause of vision problems. These are called refractive errors. They often go untreated in countries with limited healthcare systems. But researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have developed a new way to identify eye disorders with a smartphone. They call it Netra, which means eye in Sanskrit, but stands for Near Eye Tool for Refractive Assessment. A person downloads software to a phone and attaches a plastic eyepiece over the screen. The user looks into the eyepiece and uses the buttons on the phone to move 2 lines until they appear together. The person's vision problem is identified by the number of clicks required to line up the images. The results can be sent to an eye doctor to make glasses. The cost is $2, and the researchers say the results are as good as a traditional eye exam. The phone app is still being tested and is not yet available. But the researchers from the MIT Media Lab recently won first prize in the Vodafone Americas Foundation Wireless Innovation Project. They will receive $300,000 over 3 years to continue their research. June Sugiyama is director of the Vodafone Americas Foundation. She says the competition involved nearly 100 projects that offer creative ways to use wireless technology to solve problems. Second place went to Smart Diaphragm, a wireless system for women with high-risk pregnancies. It warns if there are signs that the baby could be born early unless doctors intervene. And third place went to a solar-powered wireless system designed for tuberculosis treatment programs in developing countries. Cool Comply measures the temperature of medicine and records the amount used. June Sugiyama points out that certain drugs have to be kept cool, and in developing countries, refrigerators aren't that accessible. The information is sent to local healthcare workers supervising patient treatment. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. You can download MP3s of special English programs and find English teaching activities at voaspecialenglish.com. This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Have you ever heard the expression, a ball of energy? People often use the term to describe very active children. But today, we tell about an invention called the socket that is a real ball of energy. A woman who developed the socket calls it a cutting-edge portable generator in the form of a soccer ball. Julia Silverman developed the socket with Jessica Matthews as part of a group project for an engineering class at Harvard University. To better understand what a socket is, you first need to understand how it works. When you play with a ball, a lot of energy is transferred or moves to the ball. Julia Silverman says the socket captures this energy before it is lost or breaks up into the environment. Her invention attempts to capture the energy and then store it for future use. The socket collects and stores this energy with every kick, hit, or throw of the ball. Julia Silverman says users can connect small electrical devices, like a light, directly into the ball. For every 15 minutes of gameplay, the socket can provide enough electricity to power an LED lamp for up to 3 hours. The ball can store up to 24 hours worth of power. The International Energy Association reported last year that nearly 1.5 billion people do not have access to electricity. Most of them live in India, other Asian nations, and in Africa, south of the Sahara. Julia Silverman and Jessica Matthews both had experience in developing countries before they began the project. They knew that power shortages are a serious problem in many areas. Julia Silverman says there is an energy crisis in the world. She notes that 1 in every 5 people does not have any electricity. And there are health issues because those with no electricity may use devices like kerosene lamps, which can produce a lot of smoke. Ms. Silverman says the socket is one small solution to a big problem. Jessica Matthews and Julia Silverman have started a nonprofit organization called Uncharted Play. They hope their socket ball will shine more light on the problem of power shortages. It offers people a chance to put their energy into the world's most popular sport and get some energy in return. And that's the VOA Special English Technology Report. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. I'm Carolyn Presutti with the VOA Special English Technology Report. An IBM supercomputer named Watson has won the latest battle of man versus machine. Watson won the first ever Jeopardy quiz show competition, starring a computer as a player. The show was broadcast on American television February 16th. The supercomputer defeated former Jeopardy champions Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter during the 3-day competition. The two men had been the show's most successful players until then. The IBM computer proved to be more knowledgeable in every category, including the arts, popular culture, and science. The human contestants spoke about their loss after the show. They said they both got a taste of what it might have been like to play against them. Roger Norton is Dean of the School of Computer Science and Mathematics at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. The school held a Watson watch party on the final day of the Jeopardy competition. They compared it to a Super Bowl for the information technology industry. Roger Norton says everyone was amazed by Watson's performance, especially its ability to understand natural language. In Jeopardy, players are given information in the form of an answer. They must give an answer in the form of a question. Roger Norton says the very nature of the game makes Watson's performance even more extraordinary. Watson was given the answer clues by electronic tests. It then searched through some 15 trillion bytes of information stored in its database. That is equal to about 200 million pages of text. The machine is able to perform up to 80 trillion operations per second. Its ability to understand language is more advanced than any other computer ever developed. This opens the door to a whole new world of computer applications. From business and investment to medicine and healthcare, the possibilities are endless. Watson is now going to medical school. It is part of an agreement among IBM, Columbia University Medical Center in New York City, and the University of Maryland's School of Medicine. The researchers will help IBM identify the best way that Watson can be used to help the healthcare industry. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. Our programs are online with transcripts and MP3 files at voaspecialenglish.com, and you can find us on Facebook at VOA Learning English.
I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Technology Report. Today, we tell about some of the top technology developments of the last 10 years. The technological revolution is changing the way we work and play. Mobile phones became smartphones with abilities like computers. Many people started reading books on electronic readers. Televisions became high definition, and the screens became flat. Digital music players got smaller in size, but large enough for people to download their entire music collections. Worldwide broadband subscriptions passed 500 million, and at least 2 billion people were expected to be online by the end of 2010. Stephen Baker is the Vice President of Industry Analysis for the Consumer Electronics Market Research Group, NPD. He says the technological developments of the 21st century have brought about some historic advances in consumer electronics. He said 10 years ago might as well be 100 years. If you look back at the way people interacted with electronics in 2000 and the way they interact with them today, there is no comparison. 10 years ago, there were no flat panel televisions. There were no mobile web devices or smartphones. There were no eBook readers, and very few people had notebook computers. Bruce Bockenheimer is with the MIT Enterprise Forum in New York City. He is also the Director of Entrepreneurship at Pace University. He talked about what he believes are the most important technological developments of the 21st century. They are mobile computing, digital media content, broadband, social media platforms, and user-generated content. Also, digital photography and global positioning systems for consumers. Mr. Bockenheimer says all of these things have worked together to revolutionize technology. And he says the technology is constantly changing, faster than at any other time in history. He said telephones had not changed for 3 or 4 decades. They could be on a wall or on a tabletop. But now, cell phone technology is changing every year. He asked, how many people have a cell phone that is more than a year or 2 old? For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. You can learn more about technology on our website, voaspecialenglish.com, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and iTunes at VOA Learning English.
From VOA Learning English, this is Technology in Special English. The Asian Development Bank has approved a $300 million loan to help finance an electric vehicle program in the Philippines. The goal is to reduce pollution. The money will help pay for tricycles powered by electricity, or e-trikes. The Philippines wants to have 100,000 of the vehicles on the road by 2017. E-trike driver Alfredo Forello says the battery can operate for 5 or 6 hours. He pays $1.25 to charge the battery. He says in the past, he spent as much as $4 a day on fuel for gasoline-powered tricycle. Tricycle drivers usually pay about $4 a day to rent their vehicles from operators. Alfredo Forello says he earns about $17 a day from driving an e-trike after costs. That is more than double the average daily earning of someone driving a gas-powered tricycle. The e-trike can carry as many as 8 passengers. The vehicle has a roof that protects passengers from the sun and rain. The city of Mandaluyong chose Alfredo Forello to help with a demonstration program of 20 e-trikes. The director of the city's Tricycle Regulation Office says the Asian Development Bank chose Mandaluyong because of its desire to keep the air clean. He says the city will offer a rent-to-own program for the e-trikes. The electronic vehicles cost about $5,000. Traditional motorcycles cost about $3,000. There have been bumps in the road, however. 7 of the city's 20 e-trikes already need repair, and waiting for parts is slowing down the program. Bank and city officials have now learned that manufacturers must fully guarantee their parts. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Africa has become a growing market for high technology products. It may soon become a base for many more high-tech companies as well. Experts predict growing competition in Africa as technology companies and others attempt to meet the needs of young and middle-class populations. DHL calls itself the logistics company for the world. Logistics is the process of planning complex activities involving people and resources. DHL provides transportation by train, road, sea, and air. The company sees Africa as a place where its business can expand. But for that to happen, more international companies will need to invest and set up operations there. Sumesh Rahavendra is with DHL. He says there is a lot of evidence of growing operations by multinational companies in Africa. They include SAP, IBM, and Hisense, a Chinese state-owned company. Sumesh Rahavendra is the company's head of marketing for Sub-Saharan Africa. He says the area offers many possibilities for growth. He points out that many people who never used a desktop computer are now using tablets and smartphones. He describes the continent's 1 billion people as a largely untouched market for many kinds of products. DHL has been operating in Africa for more than 35 years. Sumesh Rahavendra predicts that as more and more companies set up operations in Africa, DHL's business will increase. DHL says Africa is now the world's second largest mobile technology market by connections after Asia. In addition, it is the fastest growing mobile communications market in the world. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.
I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Technology Report. Dogs are known for a strong sense of smell. Their noses can be trained to identify different odors. Dogs are often used in search and rescue operations and to sniff for things like drugs and explosives. Some dogs have even been trained to sniff for cancer in people. Researchers have been trying to reproduce the extraordinary sense of smell that dogs are born with. Now, officials at the Glasgow airport in Scotland are testing a new security device called an electronic sniffer dog. The electronic sniffer dog represents one of the latest developments in the area of smell technology. A Scottish company, Cascade Technologies, joined with the French security company Morpho to develop it. The device uses lasers to identify explosive material in gases in the air. The purpose is to identify explosives that may be hidden on a person's body. The machine looks similar to the metal detectors now used at airports. Passengers walk through the machine as the lasers test the surrounding air. People are not required to take off their coats, belts, or shoes as part of the security process. And, unlike full-body scanners, the new device does not show images of the passenger. Officials at Cascade Technologies say the machine can process one person per second and produce almost immediate results. They say future developments could cut security processing times at airports by screening all passengers at walking speed. Professor Yushan Yen is the head of Chemical and Environmental Engineering at the University of California, Riverside. His research team has been working on a similar sniffer device since 2008. He points out that unlike real dogs, electronic devices do not get tired or need to be walked or require food and water. Professor Yen says real sniffer dogs also have other needs. He said, they also need very extensive training that could be expensive. And when they work, they have to have a very skilled handler around them. But Professor Yen says in his experience, there is an important area where man's best friend still wins compared to technology. He said dogs are able to identify extremely small amounts of explosives. But Professor Yen says electronic sniffer technology is developing quickly and could have a lot of uses in the future. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. For more of our reports, go to voaspecialenglish.com. I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Technology Report. Tablet computers were the stars of this year's Consumer Electronics Show. The international gathering in Las Vegas, Nevada, is the world's biggest technology trade show. Companies launched more than 80 handheld computers similar to the popular Apple iPad. Tara Dunyan from the Consumer Electronics Association is a spokeswoman for the show, which ended January 9th. She said 2011 is going to be the year of the tablet. There are going to be many different kinds of products available. Examples include a new Wi-Fi version of the Galaxy Tab made by Samsung of South Korea. The Taiwanese company Asus announced 4 new tablets for this year. One of them can connect to a keyboard to make it more like a laptop computer. Another has a keyboard that slides out. Both of these tablets use Google's new Android Honeycomb operating system. Motorola, based in the United States, also demonstrated that system on its new Zoom tablet. Reporter Arash Alai from VOA's Persian News Network was at the show. He says more and more companies are offering 3D images on devices like tablets and notebook computers. There are 3D Blu-ray players, cameras, camcorders, and printers. He looked at the newest 3-dimensional televisions, including some that require no special eyewear. He said Toshiba introduced a new line of televisions that enable users to watch 3D without wearing the glasses. Arash Alai also looked at some of the different products marketed as green technology at the show. He said many companies are selling products that run on solar energy or wind energy to recharge cell phones or other small devices. And speaking of phones, Tara Dunyan says smartphones keep getting smarter. She said superphones have 4th-generation chips in them that permit immediate access to videos and photos. Popular products at the Consumer Electronics Show also included Internet TVs and devices to stream video onto existing high-definition sets. More than 120,000 people attended the show. One big announcement involved the British company ARM and the Microsoft Windows operating system. Microsoft said the next version of Windows will work on devices that use ARM processors. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Amazon.com recently launched its Kindle library lending service in the United States. Millions of users of the Kindle Reader and app can now borrow Kindle books from their local public library. The company is working with Overdrive, a leading supplier of eBooks and other digital content to libraries. The service will be available through the websites of more than 11,000 local libraries across the country. Users of other devices, including the Barnes & Noble Nook and Sony Reader, have already been able to borrow library books. Experts say Amazon's entry is likely to reopen a debate between publishers and libraries over e-book lending. Bill Rosenblatt is president of Giant Steps Media Technology Strategies, a consulting company. He says, publishers and libraries are enemies that occur in nature, like snakes and mongoose. Libraries would like to be able to make books available to everyone all the time with no limitations. And publishers, of course, would like to sell more books to the public. Mr. Rosenblatt says the debate in the United States centers on what is known as the law of first sale. Once you buy any kind of media product, such as a book or a CD or a DVD or anything like that, you can do whatever you want with it. You can read it, you can give it away, you can lend it, you can resell it, you can burn it, you can use it as a frisbee, whatever you want. This law of first sale is what permits libraries to lend books over and over again without having to pay publishers each time. But it does not include digital products. Technology known as digital rights management can make ebooks unreadable once they have reached a certain time or user limit. Bill Rosenblatt points out that one of the major publishers made an announcement several months ago. HarperCollins said it was only going to allow ebooks to be lent out 26 times, and then they would have to be purchased by the libraries again. HarperCollins says it took the action to protect the growing ebook industry and its own book sales. But Bill Rosenblatt says critics did not see it that way. They think because a digital book lasts forever, as long as it's stored somewhere in digital form, that it should be lendable forever. He says the debate over e-book lending will likely end up in court. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. The world's largest online retail company, Amazon, has launched its first shopping website in India. The Amazon website in India offers 7 million books and 12,000 movies and television programs. It will soon add more products, such as cameras and mobile phones. The American company will not sell its own products in India. Indian law does not permit companies that sell goods from more than one manufacturer to sell directly to people on the internet. Instead, the Amazon website serves as a marketplace for local businesses. Last year, Amazon launched a site in India which let users compare prices online, but not purchase products. Shabori Das is with the market research company Euromonitor. She says Amazon is entering a market where online shopping is still new, but is expected to grow quickly. She says India is expected to be among the 20 fastest growing internet retailing markets in the world. Online businesses are interested in India's huge young population, but only about 12% of Indians have a connection to the internet. That is far fewer than in countries like China. Still, there are 150 million internet users in India, making its market the third largest in the world, and it is expected to grow quickly as more people get connected. At this time, the path to big profits may not be easy for online retail businesses. Online retail is currently valued at $10 billion, but a large amount of that is for air travel. Now, competition to provide retail goods should increase with the entry of Amazon into the market. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Alzheimer's disease is mostly a condition of old age. Today, life expectancy is increasing around the world. As a result, the number of people affected by Alzheimer's is expected to triple in some countries by 2050. People with this brain disease often have other medical needs that require the services of many healthcare professionals. Caregivers often have a hard time keeping up with all the medical information. More and more often, family members are being called on to help care for loved ones with Alzheimer's. It is a responsibility for which most people are unprepared. That is why the Hebrew Home, a private healthcare group in Riverdale, New York, developed an iPhone and iPad application called Balance. The app offers caregivers advice on recognizing symptoms and on feeding, bathing, and providing a healthy environment for the patient. It can be bought on the internet for $4. The Hebrew Home is a not-for-profit organization that provides care to 75,000 patients in New York City. David Pomeranz is its program development director. He created Balance. Mr. Pomeranz says the Balance app is designed to let users organize information so they can easily keep track of a patient's health. It helps caregivers manage doctor's appointments and share information with doctors about the patient's daily emotional changes. Interest in the app has not been limited to the United States. David Pomeranz says people in other countries are also using it. Software developers are working on a version of Balance for mobile devices using the Android operating system. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.